No, let's say she don't overshare, right? And she just nice.
Oh,
She nice.
yo, that's self haze, bro. You know that. If you start actually thinking about how the person you are talking to or with or a significant other got to the skill set that they're at, you're a sick individual in your mind. And I'm speaking because I am a sick individual in my mind, and I've
Nah,
done this
Cleveland.
before.
Cleveland, she is the sex as Kevin Durant is the basketball. You like, where have you been practicing? Where's your gym? Like what how is this possible?
You're now tuned in.
You're now tuned in
You are now tuned in
You're now tuned in.
You are now tuned in
to the Juxtaposition Podcast.
Classic, classic. Welcome to episode 77 of the Juxtaposition Podcast, aka the Extraordinary Nobodies, aka the Starting Five, aka the Five Heartbeats, aka the Four Hubbards and the Possible, aka the Positivity Podcast. I'm your host, Varsenio Hall. Welcome to the Memorial Day weekend episode of the Juxtaposition Podcast, the Luca episode, if you will, number 77. How y'all feeling this glorious extended weekend that we have been having? Is it good weather where y'all at?
Yes.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's
It's 100
80 something over
degrees
here
every
now.
day now.
So is the heat oppressive, Cleveland, where you are?
It is because of the humidity. Like the other day, I want to say Friday, it was hot, but it wasn't as humid, so it wasn't too bad. But man, yesterday, today, it's just hot, hot.
Beating up the block. Like,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, it's 80s where we at, and it was a good toasty day today. And tomorrow's supposed to be hotter. It's supposed to be like 95 tomorrow.
yo.
So I don't know. So I mean, we have a game at 6. Hopefully the temperature goes down. I think they cancel it because they don't want the kids out there.
Overheating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I maybe like last week I was on my iPad and I still keep like the places that I've lived on my like weather app. So I saw Pennsgrove that was 96. I was like, yo, it was like 77 over here and it was like 96 in Pennsgrove. I was like, that's
Yeesh.
crazy. Yeah, but we don't get humidity over here. It's pretty dry. So a cool like if it's 80, then it may feel like a 72 on the East Coast with humidity, 73 or something like that. So
Mhm.
how's
Nice,
y'all
man.
extended weekends been? Any grand plans that y'all had? Anything that was going on?
Yeah, man. I was putting together nursery furniture the whole weekend. So
That's fun.
yeah. It wasn't that bad though, cause the stuff we got is like it's cool. Like it was mad steps, but it wasn't like IKEA steps. Like you know what I'm saying? Like where you gotta turn the joint all different angles to know
Yeah,
exactly what you're
IKEA
talking about.
IKEA John be like a map. Like,
It's
all right,
crazy.
so if I go here and
It
then
don't
make
come with
this
no
right,
words no more. That's why. It's
It's
just
just
pictures.
pictures. Well, the joint I have was just pictures too, but it was like very clear exactly what you had to do. So it wasn't that bad. Just took time and was just doing that and had to get some stuff for baby. Just getting prepared. So that's what my weekend was.
baby on the way. This is crazy. How close are we now? We zeroing in on how many months? 2
Around
more months?
around the corner, yeah. So July 20th is the expected date.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's miraculous.
Wow.
oh yeah,
How,
yeah,
how old is
man.
her kid? 6?
Nah, he's one about to be 2 in October.
I don't know, man. Time flies. I don't
Man,
know. These kids be
it's
having kids. I
crazy.
don't be knowing. I don't be knowing.
It's
Seriously.
crazy, man.
So what's up with you? Give us an app update. First of all, shout out the app, and then give us the app update. What's happening with the app?
Yeah, shout out to the We Smoke app. It's been getting more and more subscribers, more users, people starting to come along. I went to a couple of conventions showing folks. I went to Women in Cannabis Festival. That was dope. Met some great, successful entrepreneurs, women that they're doing the damn thing. I met like this lady. She's like the first and only black business owner to have a testing, like cannabis testing center. Like they, in order for it to go out in the market, it has to actually come through her first.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, like a lab testing lab before they, almost like
Hold on.
FDA approved kind of deal.
Imagine your job is like to get high on the product and then report back like this was good. This was
R&D.
good.
Hey, yo,
Yeah, bro.
speaking of that, like, what happened? Yo, too bad Corey don't work for Q Research no more, where we could.
Man, look, talking about having to eat. Q Research fed me a couple of times, bro.
They bought me a living room table. Shout out to Q Research,
Q
and us
Research,
being the
man.
lab rats, test dummies on whatever product they was.
Smelling shaving creams and stuff. Yo,
Oh, remember that one? That's
You
when we
remember that
all
one?
did that, John. We all
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
in
I
there.
remember.
the whole team was with us that day.
they
And
all
they
smelled
paid
exactly
cash.
alike to me. I just looked
I
at
was
the
like,
color
yeah.
and was like, it
I
smelled
was
no
like three.
different.
Definitely
Lemon
three.
hint, lemon hint. Like,
I sense nodes of mountain breeze. They all smell the same.
yeah,
But yo, question about that. Like, it seems like because you know this because you're more involved in the industry, but it seems like there's lots of different elements that people can get into with the cannabis industry. Like lots of opportunity outside of actually having a dispensary. Like you were saying that she has a place that tests it before it goes out. Like I would have never thought that was a thing.
yeah,
Like
like a lab, right? An actual official,
yeah.
like certified lab to make sure your product is legit. Ain't no funny business going on. You ain't doctor it up with nothing, no harmful
Wow.
chemicals, nothing like that.
Right.
There's the
That's crazy. It
accounting
came a long
aspect.
way. Back in the '80s with cocaine on the movie, they used to just take a little thumbnail full
Oh,
and
right,
put it in,
rub across
put
the
it in their
joint.
gums. Like, yeah, it's good. Like
That shit, yo, what always tripped me out
technology.
about that is like, y'all ain't getting high within a minute. Y'all just mad regular with it. Like, that don't work.
Nah,
Like,
The
I, I,
tolerance.
I, I
Build
guess it
that
was baby
tolerance, I guess.
powder. Then
I
you not
guess.
getting high anyway.
Yeah,
But
but the police though, like they used to
yeah,
do it. Like, y'all not getting high with doing that? That's weird. But
yes,
yeah,
this is the good stuff. It's like how you
how you
know?
know? Yeah, exactly. Don't y'all take piss tests? But anyway, but yeah, there's mad facets to the cannabis industry. You could do a grower, like if you're an actual grower, and if you obviously the dispensary situation,
Right.
manufacturer, shipping, security. There's so many different like avenues. It's like the octopus with all the little tentacles, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's kind of it's very like it's a gift and a curse, and I'm sure you understand from being in the industry about how the industry has profited off. It will be profiting off the backs of black people. Also, the fact that laws that are being passed to legalize it, and the people who were who were prosecuted against are still in jail. Like, but I do love the fact that people are bringing awareness to that, so it's not just like lost on deaf ears.
Yeah, they got a whole thing called like legacy to legal. So legacy, like I've been doing this, whether it was illegal or
Mm,
not. I've been on on the front line with cannabis. So now, make me legit. Or some of those overturned people that was prosecuted.
mm.
Now they're, at least in New York, they're supposed to get like first dibs on licensing or something like that, like to get a
Okay.
cannabis license in whichever way whether it's growing or a vendor or whatever. So
All right. Now here's a
I
question
tell
for
you
both
what,
of
that's
y'all.
interesting.
I don't know. When I was dating, like I still don't like women who smoke. Right? It's just not my preference. If a woman happens to smoke, I probably wouldn't want to date her seriously. On a first date, would you want a girl to let you know that like she smokes?
I will find
Yeah.
out. I mean, yeah, I usually could tell though because like they be having smoker face. Like some
Smoker
people,
face,
yeah, like
not
smoker face be
poker
like
face.
it got like it's like a gray tint on a sheet. Like it's like I
What?
can't really explain it, but I
They
be knowing because
sepia
I
in
don't.
You
real
know it
life.
when you see it.
Yeah, he
They
said
got
sip. Yeah, shut up. Like the
they
iPhone
got an
joint.
IG filter. They got an IG filter in their face.
Yeah, like I knew it was a couple, even like with like my kids' teachers, like I walk out like, oh yeah, she smoked. And they don't tell me, but I know. I'm like looking right
But
at you.
you know what? Like I feel like cigarettes age you. Weed, I don't know if weed ages you. It's
If
just
you smoke it, I don't know, bro. Like,
enough.
yeah, I know people who like smoke a lot of weed, and I think the act of smoking in general and inhaling something into your lungs on a consistent basis has to have something to do with how you age. Because
What if you
sometimes,
inhaling Jesus?
well, you're not smoking it. You're just
Yeah.
inhaling Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different. It's different. But yeah,
I
man,
have
like you got to tell me if you smoke, bro. Like Like it's a very specific habit.
Yeah,
that I
because
need
a
to
lot
know.
of things come with that too. Like, if okay, either way, if you smoke cigarettes or weed, I would definitely, if I was dating, I would love to know. I would not. In my head, after that, I probably wouldn't take it serious. Like, this can't go past because I can't be around it. Like, it makes me
So
sick.
we
Just
so we're universal in thinking that if we really couldn't date women that smoked consistently.
Nah, you
All
remember
right.
that commercial that it was like on all the after school specials where the dude was walking towards the girl at the party in slow motion, and then she pulled out the cigarette, and then he
oh,
just
trying to
jerked
be
off
cool.
out the shot.
Yeah,
You
That
remember that joint?
nope.
I know what you're talking about.
For commercial.
Nah, I know exactly what you're. But so I actually
Hold
I
on. Maybe we should
dated
make a distinction
what?
of smoking marijuana versus smoking cigarettes.
Well, it
I'm
doesn't matter to me because they both is
no,
I would
no,
smoke.
agree. Yeah.
no, not to me either. But crazy enough, I would much rather if I was in love with a woman and she smoked something, I would much rather her smoke weed than smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes are just like,
Agreed.
get out
I
of
agree
here.
with
What are
that.
you doing? What are you doing? Get your bum ass out of here.
Yeah, I can't do. I dated someone that actually said they did it socially, not like regularly, but I bagged them when I was looking for like a port for my car charger in their vehicle, and I'm like, "Yo, what are these? Like, what are those?" I'm
Mm.
like, and they're like, "Oh, nah, just occasionally." I was like, "Well, that's gonna be today the last day for these. You know that, right? Like,
Yeah, you
if
can't
you
like,
plan on."
Mm.
and then she call them bogeys. Like my girl can't call cigarettes
Nah, she
bogeys
call
and
them
smoke
bogey. She
them.
fight.
Or
I'm about to
Lucy's
say
like, nah,
bogeys.
you can't, nah, you can't. We can't do that. We can't do that.
They're so addictive though. At the same time, it's like you want to be sensitive to that fact because they're super addictive. It's not only like the nicotine itself, but it's also like the act of smoking. You know what I
No,
mean?
for
Like the
sure.
act of putting something to your lip. It's like the calming effect, whatever it does for you. So it's tough, man. It's like a lot of people don't like smokers, or I shouldn't say that. Some people prefer not to date smokers, but at the same time, that is a hard habit to kick. It's
I
a
hear
whole
that.
industry. It's a whole industry on helping people kick it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that. But cocaine hard too. I don't want to. I don't
Cocaine, a
want
hell of a
to.
drug.
I don't want to date somebody that does cocaine
Well,
either.
you might price yourself out of cocaine at a certain
I was
point.
about to say, if you dating somebody do
It's one of the
cocaine, they
most
got some
expensive
money.
drugs.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
Nah,
hear. I
son.
don't know, man. I'm just
No, living in California. Let me preface with saying this. I've never seen cocaine in real life. I haven't seen someone do it, but I've been in the space where people are doing it. If that makes sense, I've never seen it with my own eyes, but like they're in the room going crazy, right? So, since I've been in California, it's been a lot more common than I've ever realized. Number one, there's a lot more music festivals, and people are more willing to have their party drugs at like a Coachella or Rolling Loud, and like they'll talk about it, and I'm like, is this something you should be sharing with me? Because I'm not really
here.
judgmental, but like you do coke, bro. What's up? Like
Do
I
they
don't know
ask
how to
you or they
feel.
just telling you? Like, are they saying,
No,
yo, you want to do a bump? Like,
nah. It's been a description of their weekend, right? And it's been like,
oh,
Yeah.
or they
nah,
just throw it in
we
the mix as if it's normal? Like,
yeah, like 4, 5, 6, like CeeLo, like yeah, and we did coke too. You hungry? Like what? What?
Bro, and these are functioning people. Like I work with somebody who just threw it out there like that. Yo, my weekend we did this, did some coke, did some like coke. What? What you mean Coca
as
Cola?
opposed
Zero?
to
Like what are
Pepsi?
you
Right,
Like,
talking about? Right?
right.
I'm
But
like, yo,
even
that's
it's
real.
but
it's
it's crazy.
dangerous.
It's crazy. Now understand this. We are men in our mid 30s. We grew up in the crack era, right? Our perspective. I can speak for myself. My perspective of cocaine is that Len Bias died from doing cocaine. That's my frame of reference. That nigga died. He was number one pick in the NBA draft. That nigga died. DIED. That was my point of reference. I'm not doing it. I seen crackheads. I'm not doing it. And you mean to tell me you're gonna pay top dollar for some white substance that could kill you?
I
No.
never, when I was younger, I never made a distinction between. I didn't know there was a
Coke and
distinction
crack.
between crack and cocaine.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know like one from the other. So like I always just related the two together, like
Yeah.
all the time. Like you
It's
see a
like
crackhead
limes and
walking down the
lemons.
street, I'm like, okay, cocaine or crack, same thing.
Right.
But they're actually
To
But
me,
very
yeah, they're a little. I mean,
unique.
the baseline, foundation of the product is the same, but
Yeah, but just in
right.
my mind, not knowing, like you know what I mean. I'm like crack cocaine. That's what you hear, crack cocaine. So
yeah,
I'm just like, oh, they
And
must be the same
it
thing.
wasn't until one of the greatest New Jerseyans to ever live, Whitney Houston, told us,
crack
crack
is wet.
is whack.
Crack is
Crack
whack.
is cheap. Okay, my bad. Okay, all right, all right. But yeah, nah. But that was an indication to me that that friend was telling me a little bit too much too early, like a way too much of an overshare. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm judgmental or if it's just like I don't fuck with it, right? Either way, I didn't need to know. So, Cleveland, your coworker told you that he was just
Mhm.
doing bumps in a week. Like, did you think like, bro, that's a little bit too much for me to talk to you about that right now?
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely. And what struck me about it was how casually it was entered. Like, oh yeah, people do this. I'm like, I don't know what people you know that do this, but the people
Your
I
people, not
know,
my people.
you know what I mean, don't go to the beach with like an 8 ball, bro. That's not what we do. So I think I was just
nah,
like shocked at how like casually it was thrown in. Like, yeah, we party, we bang. I'm like, yo, that's
party.
wild. I don't want
And
to
and
party like that.
and going to your point, and I want to make sure I say this. In light of the fact that some people have addiction issues, we're not making fun of
Hmm.
it. We're just talking about our
Not at all.
preference and just having more of a conversation about oversharing. And yeah, we're not making light of it. But yeah, like somebody telling me that they did a few bumps this weekend is a little bit too much for me on my Monday morning. But I'm just trying to drink my virtual coffee and have a wake up like nah, bro. I don't give a
Agreed.
fuck that you that you did that. Have fun. I'm glad that you had fun, but I don't. That's not what I asked for.
Hmm.
So you are a person who people tell everything to.
I
Have
was
you,
waiting. You know, I was like,
yo? For those of you
even
who
in the
do not
grocery
know,
store.
for those of you who don't know, there are two people in my life that they can sit like they can sit like Forrest Gump on the bench and like life would just happen around them. It's Zoe and Tiff. Like Tiff could be on the train and she's like, I seen somebody get raped. I seen somebody do heroin. I saw somebody's ass get touched. I seen somebody do some homework. It's like the ride was 25 minutes. How you see
All
all
that.
that?
Yeah.
So tell us about how much people overshare with you.
It happens all the time. Even like I would say my more recent overshare is actually like an undershare, so to speak. I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that, right? So in recent times, I've had more Caucasian people who try to overshare how they woke they are.
Oh
It's
my
very
God.
yeah, that's been a lot of
Um, because you know I'm
you
not
know,
racist.
yeah. I got a couple of black friends, whichever line you want to use, I didn't hurt. And I'm like, here we go. Or like, not to be extra woke and all that. Like almost like I get it. I understand. And I'm like, I
I
really
also
wasn't
hate
going there.
I also hate that some words are in the like mainstream. Like woke is mainstream. Like I hate that. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
dislike
but
that
they
greatly.
think because it's mainstream, like I don't say that regularly. Like we don't really speak and say the word woke, y'all do, but I've had that happen a lot recently. And then I will say I, our friends, like I've had a lot of like women friends that overshare, and like
Like what? What
even
they
though we
say?
friends, but like and we super tight, it's weird because like I don't feel like and maybe I have, but I don't feel like I express whatever I'm doing personally. Like, so like for you to be like, yeah, because then such and such, I was doing this. I'm like, whoa, time out.
It's a
Like,
Well,
lot.
yeah. So I gave him roadhead, and you're like, yo, I didn't ask for that.
yeah, you
I
can't
didn't
just
ask for
skip
that
over.
information.
But
No,
it
they
happens a
can
lot
skip
to me.
over it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they can't skip over the fact that they said that, and I'm looking. They try to just bounce pass over, and I'm like, nah.
Cleveland, why do you think people tell us everything?
Yo, honestly, Zoe is a good listener, yo. As much we know Zoe to have like to be quick witted and sharp and like have something to say back. But overall, he is a good listener, which is why people talk to him. He doesn't like interrupt you. He'll let you get what you got to say off, yada yada yada. And I think when people sense that, they sense a little bit of it. They like, oh, I said this, and he's still looking at me, looking interested. So I'm gonna keep going. It's like sometimes you
Engagement
gotta
look.
disengage. So you can't.
Yeah.
You gotta hit them with a like, oh really? Oh okay. You know what I mean? You gotta throw the phone up there so that they know you're ready to disconnect. But if you looking at them like they gonna keep going, I
Yo,
think that's
that's
part of the
so
problem.
true. Yo, my wife even says like, yo, you don't know how to hang, you don't know how to get rid of people. Like, da da. I'm like, I'm just not as rude as you walking clean off on niggas. Like that's that ain't my style. Like, Elaine's actually wasn't even talking to her. Like, oh, you talking
Ladies
to
be
me?
like,
Like you
ladies
did a
be like,
pause. I thought it was over.
ladies be like, anybody gonna see you? It's dark outside. Ain't nobody gonna see you.
Word up, like so. I
So
don't know. I do
why
have that.
why do you think that people tell you everything?
I think that's about accurate. Like, cause like I said, maybe it's the eye contact. You know what I mean? You make eye contact with people, they feel like you engage. Cause I've been in the store and people just, yo, oh, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, right? Night, was it yesterday? Sunday it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, yes
No,
it
Sunday was Thursday.
Anyway,
is.
I'm like, yo, you messing me up. So Saturday, 2 days ago, I was with our brother Moneybag. Yo, I was with James, right?
Mm.
And we driving, and I'm like, yo, stop by the dispensary real quick. Like I had to pick up some more cream for like my Achilles and stuff. So I'm in there, and the girl who's helping me, short black girl, she was cool. Okay, you know how you do a little ha little joke. Yo, she went off on a tangent, and I'm hitting her iPad for my order. Like, ain't you supposed to be doing this? Like, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm listening. I get you with a couple yeah. She started telling me how this. She pointing at the damn her coworkers. I'm like, why you pointing? Like, yeah.
Yo,
He was
well,
saying weird shit, and I'm like,
here's a variable. Here's a variable. How many black people were in the space besides you and James?
James didn't come inside because he had his baby Chloe with him.
Oh.
And then somebody else was holding up the line, which made her talk to me even more as a sales associate. And I'm like, yo, James thought I was getting arrested in there. The girl was taking so long. I'm like, nah, yo, they holding me up. But she was telling me her whole life story. This dude, he tried to say something the other day, and then her, I don't like. I'm like, yo, you tell me about your coworkers? Like, I don't, and you lie.
they right
Yeah,
there.
like, but you working, you on the clock. Like you
Right.
you
Yeah.
right. It's
And you don't know me from nothing. Like, it ain't like, yo, you my homie. You just venting to me. She was
What if
telling
you
me
knew her coworkers? Like, oh,
Exactly.
oh,
that's
my cousin.
That'd be awkward.
It was very strange, but for whatever reason, she felt comfortable enough to keep bumping her gums. And I was just sitting there like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
But
how
you
did I do
know,
that?
you know the inevitable conversation when it comes to oversharing or undersharing. To Zoe's point, when you dating somebody, like you on a first date, like it's always about sex.
That's
What's the
usually
over?
undershare
Right, that's
for
what I was
women.
thinking. 'Cause everybody got three. Everybody got three bodies, right? All right, cool. Heard you. Okay, it was in
You
college of the
33,
wild.
but only got
Right.
three. Okay.
Okay. Not judging you. Okay, no big deal. Um, but when it comes to, have you ever met someone that you dated that was a little bit, or more on the other side, that were oversharing about their sexual history? Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah. I had somebody who was way too
Comfortable?
graphic. That it wasn't. You know what? It wasn't even so much
Did you
like
clutch your pearls?
how many. I clutched my pearls, bro. It wasn't even about like how many partners she'd had or anything like that. It was like the graphic nature in which she chose to share
Give us
about
an
some of her
example
experiences.
and use her
It was
voice.
a lot. Nah.
I was
I'm not gonna
waiting.
do that.
Come
Yeah,
on with
use
it.
her
Let's
voice.
go. Let's get the
Nah, it
example
was.
out.
I'll just say it was graphic, and I was just
And
like,
then he
"Oh
pulled
wow,
over
this is."
and
It was just a lot, bro, and it was just a lot for me to process. So I'm like sitting there, like, "Yo, now, like I'm building this like image in my mind of what you just said, because it happens naturally. If somebody tells you something graphic, in your mind, you're
Yeah,
like
you picturing it.
building that image. So I was just like, "Yeah, man, that's
but
a
there's
lot."
two avenues at that point. You can be like really building judgment, or you can be building like that could be me. Which one was you thinking, bro?
Maybe if you was interested, like if it interested you enough, whatever they were describing. In this case, it was just a lot, and I was just
So
a
so so
little bit,
so she was
little
she
bit
was
taken
eating
aback.
ass. She was eating ass. So that's why Cleveland was like, you know what? Nah, I'm cool with this. I don't want to continue with this situation anymore.
Talking about the experience and shit. Like, and then
Yeah,
this what happened.
Just a lot,
he like
man.
nah.
But you know what? But
Then I
like it
pulled the
may
hair
have
out my
been
tooth.
because that worked.
And I went to go floss, and
It may have been because that worked for her in the past. Like maybe she threw that out there early in the past, and it was
that's
like
also very
that
true.
was the hook. You know what I
Because
mean?
you know that there are guys who do the same thing, right? And I think actually it's probably more common for men to overshare
I
sexually,
think so.
on, right? Because you want to impress the girl, like, yeah, you know, she was sprung. You're like, all right, like,
Yeah.
but does
And
she
that,
want
I
to
was busting
hear,
it down. Yeah.
right? Like, I was knocking that shit out the frame. Like, do you want your frame knocked out? Is that what you want to advertise?
You know, it is, I do think dudes overshare too. Also, I think with a lot of I want to just say mostly guys, but in general, people when they're dating and they just recently like a fresh breakup and they're trying to like
Right.
go out,
Right.
they overshare about the breakup. Like you, I don't need. Are we? Is this like a
That's
therapy
another
session? Because
good
I
point.
don't
Yeah.
like
That's
want to
how you know
hear.
they're not ready. That's how you know they're not ready.
Yeah, you got
Like,
about two or
Exactly.
three this person, and then that's after that. Like I'm out of here. Like
And once you catch
yeah.
yourself like with a, oh, I've been talking about my ex too much. Yes, you have
Yeah.
actually. Like if you caught yourself, then you've been doing too much. It's the first date. I already know about his crazy baby mom. I know
Right.
about the stocks he left on the floor. I know he ain't never paid for nothing. Like, dag, like
When they hit you with
when
the, and would you believe? Absolutely, because you
I
told
do.
me
I
the
believe
story
everything.
already.
you,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I believe it
I
all.
believe you.
But going back to the overshare with the sexual history thing, how honest do you think you should be, and what at what point should you begin to be honest?
I assume the worst of people when it comes to that, right? On
Yeah, we
purpose,
know.
because it's like building my tolerance in my mind,
Right. She
right?
gotta have.
So
She had to have a sum happen,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so it's
yeah. Plethora, as Var used to
right.
love, is right.
Right. A
So
cornucopia of men.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like, well, if you, especially like, I think if you're a certain age at certain point. I mean, I got married young, so it's different. But like, if I was in my 30s dating, mid to late 30s, I'm like,
Oh, you see
mm,
me?
I I
Assume
don't
I was
like
a
to
whore.
be
You see me?
judgmental, but I just assume. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but
Right.
in my head, I'll assume that you've had majority of those type of experiences. I'd prefer not to bring them up unless I needed to know. Like it was a need to know basis. Like yo, um,
What Chris Rock say on the Kanye John and talk about asking her who taught him, who
oh,
taught you this? Yeah.
he taught me.
And that's
I
the
got
shit
to
where you
thank
like,
him.
and you when you experiencing, let's say she don't overshare, right? And she just nice.
Oh,
She nice.
yo, that's self haze, bro. You know that. If you start actually thinking about how the person you are talking to or with or a significant other got to the skill set that they're at, you're a sick individual in your mind. And I'm speaking because I am a sick individual in my mind. And I've
Nah,
done this
Cleveland.
before.
Cleveland, she is to sex as Kevin Durant is to basketball. You like, where have you been practicing? Where's your gym? Like what how is this possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would try not to think of that stuff unless it came up. But the thing though is, like, you had asked the question, like, when is it appropriate, right,
Right.
to share?
Share
And I
what
think,
though?
well, yeah, we got
Yeah,
to go
okay.
there. But
Yeah.
like in terms of when, I think when the conversation comes up about sexual partners, and it most naturally will, if you're getting anywhere close to serious with anyone, or sometimes even if you're not. But like when that conversation comes up, that's the time to be honest. And then you got to temper your response based upon, honestly, you got to temper it based upon the reaction of what you know about that person. Everybody can't handle everything. I'm not saying lie. Definitely not saying lie. And lying by omission is if I'm lying because I'm trying to hide the truth. That there's a difference between lying by omission and just not saying something because I don't think it adds any value to the
It's so
conversation.
yeah, like it has no bearing on you at this point.
Yeah.
It's just information unnecessary. Like,
It's unnecessary information to share. So like, I think when you start talking about, sexual history, which I do think is an important conversation to have, I think that's when you bring it up. But you don't gotta. There's some things people can't
Here,
unvisualize.
yeah. I
yeah.
had a
You know what
I
I'm
had
saying?
somebody in my past who I knew all of their sexual history because we was homies, right? Like we were homies, and at some point she wanted to like turn a new leaf and for us to become a thing, and I had to look her in her face like, bro, I know where the bodies are buried. I know
They're
everything.
not buried.
And
We dapping them. That's the problem. Continue.
very true, but like I appreciate like as a friend I can know this shit, but like as your man, no, nah, I'm not. I can't. Every spot I go into, a nigga beat. Call me immature. I don't care.
It's a lot, man.
I'm not
That's
going to Mama Juana's and the cook beat, and then I go to motherfucking Deltas and the server beat. Like, cause no, man.
you want some
Cool,
free
cool,
wings, but
cool
you
person, but
it
nah.
can happen the same way too on the other end because like let's say you and I were out more so than Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've had our experiences. We traveled a lot more, right? So
I like that travel.
the
I like
the
that.
higher you have a higher rate of being with your significant other, like let's say at a certain event, certain type of events, and there's at least
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the
Yeah,
arena that you've dealt with. So
that's true. And I try to. I don't know if this is oversharing or not, but we haven't been in this space much. But if I'm going to a place and I know that somebody is there that I have dealt with, I will let Tiff know in advance, just so she don't have to think about why is she grilling me? Am I tripping? Like, yeah, that's the one. And I want to be like,
also, I will say this.
oh,
I will say this too in regards to that is I think it's wise to tell it's wise to know your partner. Like I
right,
like to
right.
be told ahead of time because I know that a lot of people who every situation didn't end like, hey, have a good day.
Amicably, right,
Thanks for
right.
the session and it's over. Some of them didn't
The
end
session.
right. So therefore you know they may be bitter or hurt people they want to like ruin your shit because you looking like you having too much fun or you look like you too
Right.
happy over in the corner. So
Yeah. Or that ring
being
shining
that
too crazy.
exactly, so I need to know because then when the individual, especially like in the guys world, if they're trying to be a cornball and try to show out, I actually won't entertain it because I know why you're doing that and where you're coming from. But
For
if I
sure.
but if I don't
Right.
know, I'm gonna think you're a random. You just need a lesson to be learned today. Like,
Mm.
Mm.
That's a good point because you don't want to be caught in the trap. You don't want to fall for the bait, right? But that might be for men. I don't want to generalize, but I feel like I'm not sure if women have that same perspective because I don't know if women are going to pull like a trick. I think men is more of an ego play. Like I was
nah, I
here
think
before too.
I
women
don't know,
will.
bro.
Hey, how
Yeah,
you
because they
doing?
be
Offer to make a plate or
a
some
little
wild
too
shit.
much. Yeah, they be doing a little too much, and then
But
it's
that
like,
requires all right. Let's unpack this. The whole plate
hmm
thing requires a level of like you are already. I'm imagining Zoe being in the spot with his wife, and there was a dude that she just dealt with I don't know 10+ years ago, and he's looking at you. He's looking at you. He feeling some type of way, right? But he's not in your space, right? He's being like, you know how men have that ego. He beginning to feel away, but he's not saying
Yeah,
anything.
correct.
If you on the flip side for a woman, if you can make a plate, you're too close. You're way too close.
I don't even
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
gotta
I
even
mean
be
that was
that close
ODing on
though.
that one. Yeah, I was
Okay,
Yeah,
ODing
I
on
don't even
that.
okay.
think they gotta be that close because
Yeah.
women, yo, bro, I
They'll
know
walk
y'all
by.
know
Hey,
this.
how you doing? And hit you with a
Women
nice
catch
graze.
vibes. Yo, women have
Okay,
that
the arm
natural
tap.
intuition.
Yeah.
They can catch vibes. They'll walk in the room and be like little things like she spoke to everybody but me. Like you ever told
Yeah,
like
for
I
sure.
didn't even notice she didn't speak to me. You know what I mean? That wasn't even on my radar. Women catch everything, bro. So I think it goes both ways for sure.
I get that. I understand that. You know what? Because I'm thinking like maybe like from a distance. But another point is on me. The arm touch. How you been? Bow. It's like
Yo, listen,
right in
I
front of
got
my
two
lady.
stories for that. Can
And
let me
now
tell you, right?
now I gotta have the car ride home. And he like she just touching your arm. Like what's up with that? And now I gotta deal with this. My fault. Go ahead, sir.
So look, I don't think I've been on the receiving end of that because nobody likes me after I'm done with them, right? Like they don't want to talk to me, like. But I've been on the other end where the first time I was with somebody, it was like early. Like we were like, I don't even know if we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but we had been dealing with each other for quite some time, and then it was getting more serious. So now I'm in your neighborhood, because remember, I never really talked to anybody who lived in my town or area. It's
Yeah,
always like since
you was
college,
driving.
I was always 45-minute minimum. Like I don't want to run into you at shop right or none of that. So I'm okay to drive. I have a car, right? And gas at
I'm not
that
trying to
time was
catch you at Red Box with your Wednesday boo.
yeah, or vice versa. Me, like I don't want none of that.
Right.
So I was in their neighborhood, and I was driving, and they're in the passenger seat, and we're pulling up like near the area where we're supposed to be at, and I hear under their breath like, "Oh shit," right? And I'm like, I don't say nothing, but that oh shit made me. Like,
Now you on
So
point.
now
I
you
was
on
on
alert.
because
Now you on
oh
alert.
shit
Yeah.
ain't ever a good thing
Good.
unless you got a lottery ticket and you're like, oh shit, like it wasn't one of those, right? So I'm like, you know me, my antennas go up. I'm like, all right.
Right.
So we coming in somewhere that is going to be uncomfortable for her. So it's definitely going to be for me because I'm not from here. I don't got nobody with me. It's just
Right.
me. So then when she goes into the store, I'm outside, whatever, head nod, the niggas outside, oh, what's up, whatever, keep it moving. So we drive off. I'm like, you want to tell me who that was? And they're like, what? I'm like, I heard you say, oh shit. You thought you said it out on the road, but I heard you loud and clear. Oh, you heard that? Yes, I did actually. And then they're like, oh, that was my ex. And I was like, well, do me a favor. Next time, give me a heads up. You know, we don't gotta have a full conversation because it would have been too weird us just sitting in the car. But you say, yo, that's my ex, whatever, whatever. He,
So
you know,
you
he
want
asked,
Zoe want when they get in the city limits, she got to run off the list. Like, all right, we are now in Belleville Township. I need the list. Just who
it don't
might we
gotta
run
be that.
into?
But if you see a motherfucker like, and I don't see them or like, such and
Yeah.
such here or something like that, then let me know because I'm not gonna be extra. I'm gonna be even more calm than I naturally am.
And that's not to me, and to me that's an appropriate share, and that's not an overshare, right?
Correct.
To
Right.
me, it's like I used to talk to this person, whatever. It'd be an overshare if she told you everything she did with that person, yada yada yada. Then it's like I didn't need to know that. I
I
just
would have
needed
let her
to
out while
know
the car was moving.
who that was, right?
But do you all think that? Okay, so here's another question, and be honest. Do you want to be lied to with situations like that?
Some shit.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm
I don't
okay.
know about necessarily lie to. I just there's certain
Don't just
details
say
that I just
you just
don't
said
need to know.
or
Like you know
just
what
say
I'm saying?
lie by omission is a lie, right?
No, I said lying by omission is only a lie if you're intentionally trying to deceive me by leaving something out. If you
Okay.
think that what you are going to say adds no value to the conversation, I am completely okay with you
Yeah,
leaving
like if
out
it's
details.
random. Yeah, if it has
Right,
nothing
like
to do with what we talking about.
exactly. I think those are two distinct things. You cannot tell me something that happened and still not be lying to me. I didn't ask you for those details. You're not trying to deceive me. I just don't want to know them. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Have you ever I want to get back to the lying part, like some because I think some men do want to be lied to, but I think it's situational.
You
Have
know.
you reached a little too far with information that you probably didn't need to know?
We mean asking questions, like probing questions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I've
but
definitely done.
like you just drilling too far in the ground. You're like, oh,
Cause you
hit a
in the
well.
flow of a conversation. I've called you about it. You know that I'd be like, damn, son, I fucked up. I asked the question. I don't think I was ready for the answer. I probably
But
shouldn't
that was
have
the
asked. Or,
beginning. That was the beginning of the self haze, like recognizing like my curiosity is not working in my favor at this moment. Let me just shut the fuck up and scale back.
yeah, I'm nosy, so and then it gets the best of me sometimes. Like if we having a conversation, because a lot of times they start off with these some wild random shit that I'm like, where? How you meet these people? Like where you see like? So I'm asking more questions because the shit sounds like I'm watching TV. I'm like, yo, this is a crazy ass story, but unfortunately, I get a little too into like. I've even done that with my wife, and she looks at me like, yo, why are you asking these questions? Like you retarded, and I'm like, I know, my
But
bad.
sometimes, but sometimes, like with like I'm not married yet, but like it's your homie, like your fiance or your wife is like your homegirl. Like it's like this is also your friend, so you begin to like,
Yeah.
get invested in the story. And you're like, then what happened? And the actual reality is that he beat, but but you don't want to hear that. It's like,
You
And I
don't.
feel
oh
like my wife
shit.
would do good job at dismissing like that part. Like, what you mean? What happened? Oh, all right. Say less. If you gotta ask me what I mean, then that's your way of saying like, all right.
That's
So
true. The real answer is we knocked boots. But like, do you want me to tell you that we knocked boots, or you want me to admit that?
yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. It's fine to go unspoken with certain things. And I don't think that's, necessarily lying. It's only lying if I ask you and you be like, nah, it was nothing. Like it was nothing does not mean that y'all were not intimate. Like which one was
Right.
Yeah,
it?
Well, Cleveland, I think I need to drop a little. We need to get a little bit more concrete with your shit because I want to. Because Zoe, I feel like Zoe is more fluid. Where he's like, man, I got too far. Yours is very like soft and nice and perfect. When do you or have you gone too far, or you said something that was like, put your foot in your mouth?
Man. I don't I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I know I have done it, but like I don't think I've done it in the context of anything sexual. I don't think. Not that I can recall. I don't think I've shared like overshared too much because that's not even like a thing that I do. Even when I'm like, I've been in other relationships, not my wife, but I've been in other relationships where the person was consistently asking me questions about my past experiences. And even then, and they wanted to know the details. And even then, I wasn't comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
This is
Because
the
to
same
me,
joint
I'm
that
like,
made you get on Instagram. This is the same girl that made you get on Instagram.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, same one.
I felt like the parallel was like
Yeah.
I'm about
the
to say,
pressure.
yeah, we
The
can
pressure
connect
to
it.
post me. The pressure to post me on
Yeah.
Instagram is probably the same pressure as like. So, tell me about your virginity. It's like, yo, relax.
Wanted to know every little detail, what time it was, and it was just weird.
What was her
But
That's
even
zodiac
strange.
sign?
then,
That's very
it was
strange.
weird, bro. But even then, I didn't. All right, so even then, even then, I didn't feel comfortable sharing, only because
Okay.
it was
But
like,
how you wiggle out of it?
He over here lying about
no, I
omission
just
to us,
stopped.
right?
I just stopped answering the questions. I just said I don't want to talk about this no more. Like, because to me, if it's making me uncomfortable sharing it, then like that should be enough. I've already told you that I've had experiences prior to you, so I shouldn't have to go into any other graphic nature that I don't feel comfortable doing. Because here's the thing. You may not want me to go back down memory lane. These are dangerous questions. We're
Yeah,
not
be careful what you
engaged.
ask for.
We're not.
I mean,
You don't want
that,
me to do that. You
I'm
may
trying
not
to
want me
tell
to do
you,
that. The
because
number
Cleveland
is
gonna
still
be
on
on the
my
way
phone.
home. We're
I
gonna
was
be
in a
on the way home.
different
Like
place in life.
she was nice too. Damn, where
That's
is
what I'm
she
saying.
right now?
I was at a
What's
different
she
place in
doing?
life.
What's she
It's
doing?
it's not good to revisit everything, man. Like honestly, it's not. Like it really isn't good to revisit
That's a
everything.
good
And to
point.
pressure me into revisiting it could have been bad news at that point in my life. You know?
I've
Do you
had
want to get
somebody.
cheated on? Do you want to get cheated on?
Yeah, it's
Stop
weird.
it.
I've had somebody overshare on purpose to make me jealous, and
I saw the overshare. I
The
seen
this
overshare was
no son,
way
this
over the top.
yeah,
It was
dog.
way over the top.
And this
she was
guy laughing right now, we're doing the same thing 20 years ago
It
when it
was
happened.
shocking.
she
It
was ahead
was
of her
shocking
time.
though. This
She
was
was ahead
way
of her
ahead of
time.
Seriously, way ahead of the time.
pun intended.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, she
But
was
like
ahead of her
even
time.
down to that, like the thing that happened, like that doesn't even happen back then. Yeah, I mean you had to have certain
You have to go. You had to
functions
go out of your way.
Bro,
Back
back
then when you
then.
were,
it was a luxury to have video phones.
Correct.
Like that wasn't like on every phone standard back
Nope.
then. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've
she
had that overshare to make me jealous, and that didn't work, obviously. But I
yeah.
still to this, it creeped me out. It was kind of sick in the head, and it's one of those I can't unsee it. Like I can't
that
unsee it,
moment,
and I even showed Cleveland too.
that moment was so funny to me. Like because I was not expecting
What you
anything as
saw.
graphic as
But
what
can
I
I
saw.
tell you this? Can I tell you this,
And
yo? To the public out there listening, y'all, I am a great person that has tough skin because had I been really mad, the way he was laughing and going crazy and bringing it up, we wouldn't even be friends today.
it was
The way he
not.
was
I
going.
mean,
But
to be
bro,
honest,
I was laughing because I
But
was
I was
so
already checked
shocked.
out. Yeah,
It was
I
it
was.
was it was a state of. It wasn't laughing. Let me
It
clarify.
was.
I wasn't
It
laughing
was
at my
shot.
boy. It was just so shocking that you ever just have something happen and it's like, yo, I know this is not happening right now.
yeah,
It was
no,
like
that
one
shit
of
really
those
happened.
laughs, and
And
it was happening.
at that point, I didn't know Zoe very well. But one thing I knew about Zoe was that he wasn't to be fucked with. He did love this girl, and like he could have been a little bit of a hothead. And when I seen the way that she responded to that, I was like, either you are like evolving in our very eyes, or like he didn't give a fuck about her no more. And it
Yeah, I
probably
was
was
checked out.
both. It probably was both.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like we went upstairs at that moment to like investigate further, and that was funny. That part was pretty funny. But yeah, that was the overshare of the
Of the century, I'd say.
2006 2007. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Oof.
But speaking of those days, we were around a lot of people, a lot of different personalities. Moving away from romantic relationships, getting to platonic relationships, like friendships. How have you dealt with people that overshare in terms of friendships? Either if it's to flex or if it's to like show, the places they've been. Like, how do you deal with that? Do you keep those people around?
I have a very Yeah. So like when you go somewhere and ask someone how they're doing, usually it's a formality.
Right. You
Usually
don't
it's
give a
like,
fuck.
It's a
hey, how
rhetorical
are you?
question.
It is really a question that is not meant to be deeply answered. You expect a I'm good or I'm doing all right, I'm maintaining, or even if things is hard,
I'm
yo,
blessed.
it's a little rough right now, but you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna bounce
It'll
back.
be all right. Right. Right.
Man, somebody hit me with an answer I was not ready for. And the event where we were was a very upbeat event. So when the
Oh, I
answer
already know what
given
you're
to
talking
me,
about.
the answer given to me was so real and raw. And it was like, yo, how are you? And it was like I felt it in my soul. I don't even want to say the response just in case that person is listening, they gonna know exactly. But I was just like, yo, I wasn't expecting all of that.
Nah,
That
son,
was
you
an
gassed it up. You
overshare.
can't. You don't got to give us
No,
all,
no,
but
he's
give
not.
us
I was there. Listen, let me explain it, right?
the listeners. Are like I wasn't there, so I'm
So
listening to
listen,
the thing,
I'm gonna
and I need
describe
to
it.
know a little bit more.
All
Okay,
right.
so
All right.
listeners, imagine it's a group of friends, close friends that at this point have known each other for about almost 10 years at this point, right?
Okay.
And we
About that.
are together for a function to whether it's like Super Bowl or something, we're watching something, right?
Right. Right.
And people are coming in, hey, what's going on? You know how it is. Oh, what's up, man? Ain't seen you in a while, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, boom. So, what's up, man? Haven't seen, that's the question.
Right.
And when the individual answered Cleveland, I was about an earshot away, but I didn't quite like wasn't really paying attention. I just remember him coming to me like, "Yo, I don't know what's going on, but this shit just this guy it just got real." Like I was expecting him to say, "I'm fine, what's up?" And the individual said, "Terrible," and then you're like, "What?
Whoa.
It was
Terrible?"
the long gaze. It was a long gaze after they said it though, how I knew it was like things are really bad. Because it wasn't just like, yo, how are you? Terrible. It was like, how are you? Terrible. And I was like, yo, this is not good. I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. But I
Yo,
don't know
and,
if this is
it was so crazy. Like, see how he said, I don't know. The person was there with the person who was making them terrible, right? And so that's what
Oh
made it. That's what
God.
made it awkward and uncomfortable. We like, yo, you just walk with the person that. It's like Var. You about let's say you with Tiff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you coming to you back in Jersey. Oh, what's good, Joe? You like, yo, fuck,
Right.
man, my life sucks. And I'm like, but ain't she part of your life? Like, I'm confused.
right.
Like, so pretty much that's what happened. It was so bad that I guess he must have answered more than one person with the same answer. That our
Oh.
other friend of ours was like, "Yo, I don't know what's going on, but we gotta get
I
her
feel.
out of here. I don't want to be a witness to nothing."
No, you know what's crazy? When, because this here's how I feel, right? When you meet Cleveland, like if you all listening and get a chance to meet Cleveland in person, like Cleveland is mad warm, like he's a very like you are what you described about Zoe. People will want to talk to you about things because of your nature. So, also another caveat: Cleveland wasn't around that much in that time frame that I know that y'all are talking about. So when somebody meets Cleveland with his more warm nature and they know they're going to get conversation from him, you're the perfect target. And I would imagine the other secondary target, if we talk about the same person that's on the same line as us, also another target. It's just like these are the two people that won't cut you off and be like, yo, bro, I don't give a fuck. They're not gonna do that. Even if they wanted to, they're not gonna do it.
Nah,
Yeah, it
man.
was.
And like that's like an overshare with like friends. Like to me, it's like, A, I would have lended an ear, but B, it just wasn't the timing wasn't right. Cause even if I want to listen right now, I can't because you would
It's
make it
loud.
awkward for everyone. So it's like,
And the person who you gonna complain about is here. So
yeah,
that's what made it like, yo, my man, you wasn't supposed to say that
yeah.
now. You should have pulled me
You
aside.
beefing
We
with
could have
your
went,
friend, but you walked in with that friend. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you walked in with that person and it's like, now I can't go any further. So that was definitely like an overshare, I would say. That's when it was
Oh,
time to
can I say something else?
that's when it's
Go
like,
ahead.
okay, to lie to me. Say
Yeah,
it,
Yeah.
say you
yeah,
are,
like dog.
and then tell me
Yeah,
later.
say you unless it's life or death, unless you about to do something to yourself or something, like
For
then tell me
somebody
the truth.
else.
But if it's
Yeah.
just you mad or y'all just got in an argument because whatever, whatever, like cool. But I had a friend overshare to me. This happened to me, I want to say recently. All right, the person overshared to me something in detail about another individual that's a male that I should not be knowing. Like I should not. Like why do you like I know we cool, but like you ain't got to
Right,
tell me what's going on below his Gucci
right,
belt.
right,
Like yeah, I mean
right.
like I don't need to like whoa timeout. Like I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it was very strange, and because it was like it's always thrown in the middle of a sentence. Like I didn't hear that. Like I just wasn't gonna catch that.
Like
Like
it's just
you,
all of a sudden like yo, or like yo, like, you know that's my man, right? Like I don't give a fuck about this part. Like I don't care
yeah,
about
Yo,
this part.
but
Or
even like
like,
not,
go ahead,
I was
Cool.
gonna say like even like non-sexual stuff can be an overshare, bro. Like you ask somebody like a simple question and they start laying out all their bills, like all of their
Oh,
debt and all the stuff they gotta pay. It's like you got to pick the appropriate time for things. People may not be ready to take on as much as you're willing to give. So
right,
you got to kind of check that temperature. Like I got a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I will definitely lend an ear, but
right.
I can point you to some resources. I know some great resources for you. But I might not have, bro. I don't have an hour, right? I don't have an hour to hear
And
somebody's
I want to
problems and
be
issues.
honest. I want to be honest and tell people like in the most, I'm going to say it shorthand right now, but I want to say like, bro, I don't have time to give a fuck as much as you want me to. I don't have, but that's an overshare too. What I could just
That's
say,
an overshare.
and, but I could just say like, you know what, like, but what do you say when you don't have time for the shit? Like,
No,
what do you
you have to draw a boundary with that though, bro. Because like
got to?
I had someone who would call me frequently, and after we got off the phone, I would just feel so drained. I felt like, oh my gosh, longest conversation.
I gotta come.
Knew they almost when I was saying things they weren't like we were saying last
Last week,
episode.
right?
It's like so I felt drained afterwards, and I had to put some boundaries on that. I'm like, listen, I respect what you're going through. I understand it. Here's the things I would try. I really just don't have time right now. But whatever it was, I'm chilling with my daughter. I'm doing
Right.
whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Because like you dumping things onto me now I'm taking on that mood. I'm taking on that energy. And you know what I
Yep.
mean? I was just watching whatever Barbie movies with my daughter, and now I gotta like think about all of the stuff you just told me. You know what I'm
Now I know
saying?
about
Like
all your coworkers in their dirt. I don't care. I don't care.
you gotta set that boundary, bro.
I don't care. And
Yeah,
I used to be. I remember one of the, I probably told this story before. Kev told me probably like 2010, 2009. He was like, yo, and he meant this as a compliment. He was like, yo, whenever I call you, you always answer. But if you don't answer, you'll get right back to me. And I was like, oh, that's dope. The older I got, the more I began to feel like, I don't like that. I'm too accessible. I'm way too accessible for people to hit me, and I'm responsible with getting back to them. Nah, some niggas got a feeling now. Because I also don't want to know, I don't want you to think that you can just dump all your shit on me every day. And we talked Monday through Friday, and I know every step of the story. Now, give me the cliff notes next Tuesday, and we'll check in. But like, there were people in that time frame that would just hit me and be like, yo, guess what happened? I don't care. I didn't care then, but I was way nicer. So I had to like, you know what I mean?
I had
But
that. I've had, but I think I stopped caring when I'm okay to thug it out one time. But like, if
facts.
you're a continuous bad news person, like that's where
Oh
I'm
my
like, I
God.
can't. You that's where it's
Yo,
draining because you're like, yo, every time I talk to you, like, ain't no
Ain't
sub.
nothing good. Ain't nothing good.
I'm big on that accessibility piece though. Like for like every you cannot be accessible to everybody, bro.
Can't. Mm-mm.
Like whatever stage in life where we were cool or we were close, when it gets to a certain point, like no, I'm sorry, you can't just hit me up and expect me to answer. And in some
Nope.
cases, you can't even text me and expect me to respond because you're not a part of that level of communication with me. Like let's communicate on
Right.
social media. Like I don't want
I
to
get
honor
that.
your text or your call because now I'm painting this picture that like, hey, like
You
we
can do
we in it
this.
like that. Nah, we don't,
Right.
and we don't. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
that's a good point. I've been having more of a like 30-day trial period with people who are swinging back in my life. It's not a commitment, but it's like, oh, we can converse, but like my conversations wane as we go along to kind of to remind you where you are in my life, as opposed to we're not back into the swing of things. Because there have been people in my life that I've talked to 10 years ago that we were tight, but like life happens and we kind of fall off. But if they spin the block and I communicate with them again, it might be like, oh, like I see why we were cool, but they don't fit necessarily in my life in 2022 because my life has changed. I don't have a lot of time to do what I used to do, So I might give them a 30-day trial period, and then I'll wane off and kind of,
And some of the
just
stuff if they still in the same level in life, some of the stuff they might share with you now might be an overshare. Because maybe 10 years ago, VAR wants to hear some story about something they did over the weekend. But
right.
now VAR is like, yo, why are you telling me this?
Yeah, like what's
I don't
up?
even
Like
want to know.
you don't got
Yeah.
like I never want to talk to somebody and be like, yo, you still the same? Like you still doing that? Like I don't. That's like. But I've dedicated this year to like only fuck with people who are elevating. Sounds judgmental, but like I need to be surrounded by people who want more.
Yeah,
And
because you pull
sometimes,
it down. You're like an anchor. You're
yeah,
just pulling me down. Yo,
yeah,
you ever
like
talk to somebody like maybe it's just me, but I've talked to people. Not only have they overshared, but then like I said, if it's like a continuous thing, it's like yo. After I have a conversation with them, I feel like I need to take a shower. I'm like yo, I gotta cleanse that bullshit. That just like I need a shower like immediately.
nah. Cleveland got the communion cookies on deck. Like, let me just go ahead and take care of this.
Bro, I am
Eating them like
definitely an advocate for taking a shower after something gets on your nerves, bro. Like I don't got a pool. If I had a pool, maybe that could satisfy it.
in the pool.
Like you just feel like you just gotta rinse whatever just got dumped on you off of you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm with
But you know
that.
what's ill? I'm on the other side, not about taking a shower, but I'm on the other side of
I'm glad.
I end up playing the role of a therapist temporarily, right? And I think that's also why people make because we're all natural problem solvers, but like the mental, I try to help people in the beginning, so the continuation is where I drop off. But in the beginning, I might try to help you. Depending on our relationship, I'm gonna try to help. But when I'm done with that conversation, it doesn't plague me anymore. It's just like, oh, that was cool, and I leave it alone. Like I'm able to just leave it there and help and like, all right, well, I'll pray for him or some shit because I don't got the time.
And that be the prayer. I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah,
That's the prayer.
because black people definitely don't pray for you when they say they're gonna pray for you. That is the prayer.
Yeah, no, I stopped saying it when I think I'm really not going to. Now when I say it, I feel compelled to actually do
That's
it.
actually
Even if
like
I do it right afterwards, like Lord bless him with it. You know what I mean? Like I've done what I said I was gonna do, but
here's a whole other episode for real. It's like what is the prayer that we have when we say we're gonna pray for you? Like, do we drop to our knees for real? Do we do the you know what I mean? What
I
we
think it
doing? We doing
depends
the
on the
Sammy Sosa?
person.
What we doing?
Yeah.
We how are we giving them a prayer for real? Because loved ones you drop on your knees, you give them the cool 2-3 minutes, you just going in. But like when it's somebody that you just like, you wish them well, but you still give them the 2 or 3 minutes with God for real.
That's the next episode question. How much prayer is enough?
Right, are you giving these people the proper prayer? Like, what's the prayer package, right? You get a brochure, just like the "I'm gonna pray for you," right? Or thoughts and prayers. Are they the
Silver,
same?
gold, or
yo,
platinum
you
prayer?
you ever pray for somebody you don't like?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I have.
You a
Those are
different individual.
Those are the toughest prayers. Like honestly, like
I think I have actually. I pray that I don't hurt them.
that's still a
Like,
prayer. That's
does
still a
that
prayer.
does that count?
Like
Okay.
yeah, I would count that. Like honestly, like sometimes, man, like I mean, that's what the Bible tells us to pray for those that despitefully use you. But like honestly, those are the hardest ones because it's like, yo, I don't like that person. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
I'm more or less wish them well. Like it's more of a like I don't wish ill towards them, and like I'm gonna to each his own. Like I'm not really a fan of this person, but like as long as they're not bothering me, then I'm cool. And to me, that's my prayer. Like you just you just do you right. Just have a great experience. I just don't want to deal with that person, but I don't wish any ill will towards them. I just don't want anything to do with them.
you ever have somebody you don't like overshare with you?
Yes. Like
All the time.
I have
It's
to. I've literally been
oftentimes-
in the middle of the conversation. That's when I can just be abrupt. Like, all right, I don't know why you're telling me this. Like, I don't know why. Honestly, I've said that. Like,
if we
I
keeping
don't know
it,
why
if we
you telling
keeping
me
it
this.
real, if we keeping it really real, those are the people who you get comfortable with being assertive, right? It's really tough to be assertive with the people that you love in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Y'all knew me since I was 17 years old, right? I've always been like a more relaxed kind of, but since moving to California, I have no history with these people, so I can be a little bit more curt or a little bit more short, and that has kind of informed my personality these days. But especially dealing with people who you don't really care for, you can really practice your boundaries. Like I'm cool here. I'm
Yeah,
I'm done.
I don't think that's actually happened. I feel like people are,
that's definitely happened to me.
I mean,
But
maybe
so
in work
the
in a work
the
setting.
the people who are doing that don't know that you aren't a fan of them.
Yeah, that's what I was
Everybody
saying. Maybe that's why I said
everybody
maybe at a
like
work
you.
setting. Most of the time in my personal life, I could count on one hand how many people I'm not a fan of that I actually have conversation with, and it's usually because I'm doing it for somebody else, but
Nah, I don't
not.
believe that. Because you got to think about all the Greekness that we had. We would go to barbecues, and it's people that you might not have a real visceral response to. It's just like I don't really care for homeboys. So
Yeah, yeah, but that I
and they
look at
talk
that.
to you, and they like, and you just like,
I guess, but I would say more like there's people that I really don't like really, really don't like, and I have to have conversation with them or deal with them. That's I
okay.
think that's different. Like where they, I don't know. I think work is the only time that's happened where they overshare. Like somebody you can't stand at work, and then they want to come talk to you and this and the third. Like when I was at Jack Daniels, I had a handful of people like that. Thought we was cool, and I'm looking like,
Mhm.
like
That's the worst. Thinking that like, nah, we're not doing that. But I don't want to overshare on oversharing. Last question. Last question around this is, how do you make sure that you're sharing the appropriate amount of information in all scenarios, work, personal? Like, what's the line of appropriateness when you are like providing information or sharing a story?
probably relationship wise. So it depends on where. It's two things: the relationship with the individual you're sharing with, because some of the overshare ain't really it would be an overshare for somebody else, but like me telling y'all certain stuff is not an overshare.
Right,
But if I
right.
told certain other people that, it's an overshare because they don't know me like that, they don't have the history behind what I'm sharing and none of that. I would say that, and I think location.
Talk to me. What
Like
you mean?
like there's a time and place for everything.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So like
You can't be at Morton's talking about how you and your girl, reacted after not seeing each other for 3 months. It's like
yeah,
you can't talk
yeah,
about sex in Morton's, bro.
yeah, like we can't, certain locations, this ain't the place for that to be oversharing. So
I get that.
Um, yeah, or I don't want to bring the scene down, like how Cleveland
Like
said
the
he was
Cleveland.
in this situation. Although we're friends, it was a chill session, but the ambiance and the atmosphere was not the time for that. Like,
Yeah,
call
How
me
about
later.
I would say timing. I would stick with that timing piece. For me, it's two T's, I guess: timing and trust. Like the timing in which you're sharing the information, literally the timeline in which you've known that person, will let you know, should be an indication whether or not you're oversharing or not. Like, have I known this person long enough to then trust them, the second T, with this information? Because oversharing is you're sharing more details than you probably need to. Can you trust this person that you're sharing the details with what they're going to do with it? You don't know this person well enough to know who they're going to tell, what what kind of opinions and biases they're going to bring to the conversation when they tell someone else about it. Because if you don't know them that well, they're probably going to tell somebody else about what you told them, and they're bringing their bias now to that conversation. So now person number three, who doesn't really know you like that, or maybe has never met you, has a whole opinion about who you are as a person because you've overshared details. And yeah, so I would say timing, that you've known somebody, and then trust as well.
I like that. That's a good place to start. For all y'all listening, make sure you remember all this shit when you're talking to people, especially people who you don't know if they like you or not. Keep it to yourself, bro. That's
Yeah.
all. It's nothing wrong with keeping it to yourself. All right, and now on to your favorite segment.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. What's the scenario?
Hey yo, Zoe knows this, Zoe knows that. Zoe light skin, Zoe stay black. I guess yes, y'all.
And you don't stop.
Yeah, I'm telling. I'm gonna
KRS
do a whole
One.
verse on that. I got to. I gotta get dust off the lyrics I used to have and rock a whole
Tell
verse.
me,
You know what I mean?
just save it for the live show.
Okay. I gotta get it written though. I gotta practice it so that way.
Or by the time that me and Cleveland both move to Jersey or something, then we can all get crazy.
Oh yeah, we'll do a whole video.
I'm on the ad libs.
Me and Cooper will do bar for bar like Styles and Jada. That's what we gonna do.
I'm
That
with it.
we always said. So well, anyway. So Zoe knows there's a lot of sports. This is that time of the year, finals, playoffs,
Yep. Yep.
uh, all type of stuff going on.
Trades.
So we got the Gervonta Davis fight. I don't know if y'all saw
Whoa,
it.
Woo! I saw
yo.
that left. It was
he
clean.
he
So
KO'd
so
Rolando Romero.
let me say something, because you are somebody who's a boxing aficionado, but you also like deal with boxing yourself. So as a person who never has really boxed in the ring, not even sparred, it's kind of it's crazy to me to think about you getting punched in your face, right?
Yes.
But your legs killing, like just
The
coming from under you,
equilibrium.
right?
Yeah.
So we were doing, like I told you, I started working out, and we were doing like squats and shit. And squats will humble you, like humble
Oh,
you,
yeah.
right? So I was watching the Tank fight, and while my leg was hurting, and I instantly understood how getting punched in your face with being tired as shit and your legs is heavy, how that what the correlation was. Because I was like,
Mhm.
oh, like he got punched clean in his face, and his whole leg was like, nah, we out. We
Spaghetti
out of here.
legs. He
We out of
started
here.
doing the Harlem Shake joint. Well, you know what it is too is it sends a shock. Remember, you have a central nervous system, so you're getting
Right.
hit, and in your jaw they say right on the button or whatever, and your
Mm-hmm.
head goes back. You tag something that sent a jolt through your whole body and made you like spaghetti, which again, essentially put you
Sack of
down.
potatoes. It's
Yeah,
And
and then a
crazy.
lot of
bro,
times
what kind
it's
of power and technique does it take though? Because it's not like it was some long, you see somebody get knocked out and it's some long
oh
hook.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
it was
It was like a
the
little
short,
short
powerful
joint.
jump. Boom.
Bro,
Right.
that's
How
where
does
most
that
of the
even
power
happen,
is. The
bro?
long ones, you actually taking power away. The short, they call it the short stiffies, pause.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are the ones that could really, if you ever look at old Tyson footage, it was like close inside. He didn't really flex his
Is
arm,
that
but
is that more bicep or tricep? I mean,
that's
forearm. Is
more,
it bicep or
it's
forearm?
both bicep and forearm. You're like going in,
Okay.
and the icing on the cake is your hip. You're throwing your hip.
Mm.
Look at Tank Davis when he threw it.
The
His
sticky
body
move.
shift. Yeah, his
Nah, that
body
shit was
shift. So
beautiful.
you're throwing your body weight into the punch. It's not just the
Mm-hmm.
punch. So whatever your power is by nature, combined with how much you weigh into the actual punch. But
Bro, and he stung him and got out of there. Like he
yeah, it
stung
was
him,
a
It
and
was
true
smooth.
definition
the
of a
dude
stick and
the
move.
dude was falling, and he didn't even
And
touch him. Like
yeah, he left.
it
He's
was
like, whoop.
crazy. Yeah, that shit
Yeah,
was crazy.
Yeah.
he definitely leaned with it, rock with it to get out the way,
You
and it
heard
was
that
crazy.
joint. You heard that. It was like, ugh.
But a lot of times
Felt from a
is
man.
the dizziness that is affects your leg. Imagine you being
Yeah.
dizzy. It's hot. You ever have like a heat stroke or something like
Mm.
that? You
Yeah,
can't. You didn't get
it's
hit, but it's
disoriented, right?
yeah. So that whole thing is off. And thank God the ref stopped it because he was still he talked about he wanted a rematch, but even in that post press conference, he still sounded like he was a little out of it. Unless that's
Really?
just him.
I seen a pre-fight Johnny. He looked like he didn't look like he had all of his devices with him anyway.
Yeah. So
So
okay. So he's a little
Oh,
fried
okay.
shoulder happy meal, but I don't know. It
His
just seemed
legs was
like
wobbly for a minute
yeah.
though, because even when
The
the
ref told him step to the
was
left,
talk
and
to him and he was like that his legs, his ankles was like going in like this. I'm like,
he
nah,
walking
bro.
he was
Don't
he
walking
let
it
him
out.
fight no more.
yeah.
Yeah.
All I can picture, yo, all I'm gonna say is the memes is crazy, and I love Black Twitter for that. Whenever,
Yo,
as
that
soon as he
Martin
got
shit.
hit, I said, "Oh, I can't wait for the internet." I knew it. I knew. It. I was like, "Yo, it's about to get real." So
Yeah.
that,
But how was the actual fight though? I don't want to spend too much time
I
on it,
think it
but
was a
like
good
was
fight. It was a good fight. It
okay,
was Davis got, he had some marks on him, so he was getting hit, and
right,
he got stung a couple of times, whatever. So that makes it a good fight because not lopsided. It's not one
right,
sided. Probably
right.
2 rounds to three or 2 to 3 either way, depending on which judge. But it was a good fight, and then he got hit. Now the dude's like, oh, he just hit me with a shot. That's all. I'm like, but that's the name of the game. Like, what you mean?
That's
That's
what it is.
all.
That's
Like,
what you're doing.
that's like
Like that's
basketball.
the
All you
goal.
did was hit the game-winning jump shot. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, what do you mean?
That's
Oh,
what
just
that's what used to
just
kill me
hitting
when people be
threes.
like they only won by 1 point. Like, okay, they still won the
Exactly.
game. They scored more points than you. That's the
Yeah,
purpose.
he's that. Which, by the way, speaking of scoring more points than you, we have an NBA Finals now. We have Golden
We
State
do, we
Yeah,
Warriors
buddy.
do.
versus the Boston Celtics.
Hmm.
Cleveland, I know your in-laws is hype. They going
Oh yeah,
crazy.
they super hype. They
I
super
know
hype.
they from
Yeah.
Beantown, so
Hmm.
it was a crazy game. Kudos to Jimmy B. Jimmy Butler's a fighter. He
Yo,
he
balling,
tried,
yo.
and he's probably gonna relive that last three where they could have went up by one
I
or
actually,
something
I
like that?
actually support. I actually support it. We don't got to go in detail about. I actually support that three
Because that's
because
what
of
you would
the
do. Say,
because of the momentum and how
yeah,
they were carrying, and they were like the game was over literally 15 seconds before that. So
yeah,
I
that's
see
true.
both sides of it.
It was tough. It was tough. So we have an NBA Finals, and then we also want to give another shout out, partially. Well, shout out to the individual, not necessarily the team, but Colin Kaepernick has been working out with the Raiders. I don't know the
Right.
severity
I heard
or
that.
if they real, but it don't seem like it's too much of a wash. They're doing more than most have in the last 6 years or whatever the case may be. So kudos to that. Kudos to the owner standing on his word where it was in an interview about a month ago where he's like, well, yeah, we could bring him, whatever, whatever. And
Right.
I
Right.
guess he said, well, since I said it, I'm gonna do it. Now I don't know if he's gonna make the team or not, but they are saying based off of what they saw, he was better than a substantial amount of starters and backups.
I mean, it makes sense. I think the thing that ages a lot of athletes is not just age, but the wear and tear, right? Like the mental capacity, like the miles, and if Kaepernick was to get 2 good years as even as a backup, I think that his story will come to a great close at this point because you don't want to be 35 taking these crazy hits,
No,
but
but
at
he
the
don't have
same
the
time
mileage though, because he was off.
he don't, but he don't have the mileage, but he also won't have the incredible speed that he also had because age will do
Yeah,
that to you.
or the
So
recovery physically.
right, right.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely hoping that he lands on the team. That would be a great like button to the story because I just like that he kept going. To be honest.
Yeah, so that's my the Zoe knows it's a sports week and the Rangers are up right now. Hopefully they win they on game 7. So that's the only time I watch hockey is like playoff hockey because it goes like a lot faster than
You know what
normal
we
game.
need? You know what we need before we wrap up? Thank y'all for listening thus far. We appreciate it. I think we're gonna have to have like a Jux at night, like or a Jux rants, like, cause it's a whole lot of shit that I want to say to the dummies that talk about how Kaepernick took a deal in quotes, and that means
Oh,
that he are. So there's a lot of things that I see that I just want to talk about, but I don't want to have it on our main platform for the most part. We need to have like another like ancillary, real talk. You know what I mean? Maybe behind a paywall or something, or just like a whole different platform to kind of just air some shit out. Cause people are stupid, and I be wanting to tell them about themselves, but.
Mhm.
well,
So with that said, thank you for listening. This has been episode 77 of the Juxtaposition.Pod. Zoe, get us out of here with the Serenity Prayer, please.
that's 77. I don't know if y'all are real Martin fans. Y'all know what that
Yeah.
77 is.
He
Don't get me
said.
for my 77. Anyway, we want to ask God to grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two.
Amen.
Give us a hallelujah so we can get on out of here.
Hallelujah.
Don't
Thank
stick me
you.
for my 77.
Until next week.